So the reason we were able to have roasted chicken thighs and spinach last night is that we thought about it. Plan ahead so that cooking at home isn't painful. Welcome to Walk, Don't Run to the Doctor. I'm Miles Hassell. I'm a medical doctor in Portland, Oregon. We've spent 30 years learning from patients who have reversed type 2 diabetes, been able to get off their blood pressure drugs, reduce their risk of heart disease and stroke, improve their cancer outcomes. You have this beautifully designed body. You have the tools that will make that body work a lot better. We don't sell products. We don't aim for profit. We're a nonprofit that exists to help people reclaim their health. Welcome back to Walk, Don't Run to the Doctor podcast. I'm Miles Hassell MD, and we're going to be talking today about how being optimally healthy really does require that you have to cook. This is part of our new food pyramid series, and when you look at the new food pyramid, you'll notice that there's a real emphasis on real food and avoiding highly processed food. And that's a critical detail, but we would argue that it tends to be lost within that to do this, you really have to cook most of your own food. And so one of the things that distracts people from cooking their own food is dumb sales pitches. We see people every day who are making poor health choices because they're listening to health salespeople or seeking easy magic bullets rather than using common sense and realizing that there's no such thing as a free lunch. We're really looking at things like nutritional supplements, continuous glucose monitors, VO2 max measurements, DEXA scans for visceral fat, whole body MRI, and many other special tests, which all have their place in rare cases, but most cases distract from what really matters the most. And what it matters the most, if you're going to live long and well and avoid doctors and avoid taking too many medications, is eating food cooked at home, minimizing sweeteners and white flour. Physical activity every day. That means thinking about muscle mass, and especially if you can play games, ping pong, pickleball, tennis, and so on. Keeping your waistline under control, and thinking about choosing a life of purpose and generosity. But today we're not going to be talking about most of those things. We're going to be just talking about cooking at home. Cooking at home means you have less of almost every disease, including mental illness, less diabetes, less risk of cancer, less heart attack and stroke, less fatigue, less joint replacement, and so on. It means having smaller waistlines. Most of you can use that. It means you save a ton of money. Maybe you can pay a couple of extra mortgage payments a year if you have a mortgage. All kinds of side effects that you don't even think about when you think about cooking at home and taking care of yourself better. So cooking at home reduces the risk of almost every major disease. So when we think about what people are eating in the United States right now, 2/3 of it is highly processed foods. 2/3. You could argue whether it's 55% or 65% or 70%, but somewhere in the region of well over half. And the higher the proportion of highly processed foods that you have in your diet, the greater the risk of cancer, heart disease, stroke, depression, anxiety, heart failure, diabetes, obesity. Pretty much you name multiple sclerosis, you name the disease, and we can probably show that it's related to too much processed foods. That's not to say that for any of these diseases, that's the only risk factor, of course, but it's a significant one. Osteoporosis is related to highly processed foods. And so when you're thinking about highly processed foods, remember many of them are mysterious and hidden and look like natural foods. So basically, whenever you're eating food processed outside the home, like at a restaurant, no matter how whole food it looks like, how healthy it looks like, it's probably made from highly processed basic ingredients. And that's because of the reality of industrial food production. When you're going to be avoiding highly processed foods, I think that you really need to say, I'm going to eat food made at home. And it has one of the benefits. People often say, well, I'm actually eating really whole food out. It's made by other people. Well, watch out, because when so-called whole foods are made at a restaurant, for example, they almost always add stuff that you wouldn't add at home. Extra gluten flour, extra refined carbohydrates to make it taste good, feel right in your mouth in an industrial process. And whereas if you have unprocessed foods that you make at home, you actually end up with more micronutrient-rich foods and less energy-dense foods. And so for a given level of feeling full, these people, when they're on an unprocessed diet, they tend to eat about 500 calories a day less. Some studies say 300 calories a day, but somewhere in a very substantial region, less than people eating highly processed foods. And these are studies done in metabolic wards. And so these are people who are eating good food, but some is unprocessed, some is processed, and the ones that are eating unprocessed foods make better choices. The processed foods are associated with a striking increase in diabetes risk and all those other diseases that you mentioned, that we already mentioned. But the important thing is when you can eat all the food that you want, you're going to eat less calories with unprocessed foods. Therefore, you can see cooking at home as a substitute for taking a weight loss drug. So learning to eat better using foods made at home leads to a lifetime of better food choices and superior health outcomes. Whereas if you start taking a weight loss drug, the chances are, in order to keep that weight off, you're going to be on that for the rest of your life. And who knows what the really long-term side effects for you are. And when you stop those weight loss drugs, you tend to get fairly rapid weight regain. And while you're on the weight loss drugs, you're often losing muscle as a substantial part of your weight loss. That's not good. Now, when you stop that drug and start gaining weight again, which happens in most people, you're not putting muscle back on. You're putting fat back on. So we would argue that for most people who are sort of yo-yoing on weight loss drugs, you're actually going to end up being worse off than you were before. When you think about ultra-processed foods, and we will get on to cooking at home in a second, but when you think about ultra-processed or highly processed foods, remember many of them are sold by people who sell them as whole foods, and they're not. So things like protein powders, vegetable powders, food substitutes such as egg substitutes and vegan cheese and so on. Look at the chemicals that are in them, look at the processing methods, and say to yourself, how can this be presented as a whole food? Because remember, these are the foods that in the studies that we find showing that highly processed foods are injurious to your health, these are the foods that are they're talking about. And if you have any doubts about whether a ultra-processed food is truly a whole food or not, simply ask the manufacturer for a detailed schematic of the production process. Make sure that includes things like the maximum temperatures and pressures that the food is exposed to during production. You'd be amazed how your cold-pressed vegetable oil might be at 250 degrees or 500 degrees Fahrenheit during processing. That's not a whole food. And so many of these things, like protein powders and so on, are primarily wallet biopsies. Don't let that happen to you. So, whatever your health challenge is, start with the basics. Great foods, and we have our book here, Good Food, Great Medicine, which helps you make good food choices, simple recipes, and setting you up for a lifetime of success. Physical activity, weight management using whole foods, and we have materials for weight management at greatmed.org, and a life of purpose. Don't forget the life of purpose. Maybe you have reasons why you don't want to cook more at home. You may feel it's not important. Hopefully we've addressed that. Health, well-being, finances, better social life are all sort of a factor there. Maybe you don't know how to cook. You didn't grow up with somebody who taught you how to cook. That's pretty common. So now you're able to make your own choices. So you spend time with people who do know how to cook. You get a simple book or two. Once again, I refer you to our book, Good Food, Great Medicine, as one example. Or you could start with any of the old standard cookbooks. Joy of Cooking is not a bad choice for just learning how to the basics of cooking. Pick a couple of recipes that you like and make them over and over again until they're just second nature. If you use our book, Good Food, Great Medicine, you're going to see all kinds of useful tips on how to set up your kitchen, the basic materials that you need, and the basic foods you want in your pantry. None of this is expensive. You don't have to have very many tools around a kitchen to make it easier to use, but you do need those tools. And jump into this. Have some friends over. Have a good time. Not every recipe is going to come out perfectly the first time. but you're going to have a great time and you're going to learn tremendous skills. And remember that a toasted cheese and tomato sandwich at home is better food for you than any fast food that you're going to get anywhere. If you don't have time for all this, ask yourself, what is the purpose of life? And reorder your priorities, because you don't want to be successful in one area of your life and then 10 years from now have a debilitating illness. That doesn't make any sense at all. So reorder your priorities so that you're doing the right thing. Think about how this is going to help your spouse, children, friends. We're looking to avoid an unnecessary burden of disease, unnecessary exposure to potentially harmful drugs, unnecessary exposure to just routine infectious illness. And so we go back to having some good sources, people that know how to cook, good books like Good Food, Great Medicine and other books, and finding simple and quick recipes that you can fit in and have leftovers from them. So last night we just had chicken thighs and sauteed spinach as our meal. It was fabulous. It was quick. We probably didn't start even preparing the meal until about 6 o'clock at night. So simple foods that you're comfortable with, that you enjoy, and then planning ahead is critical. So the reason we were able to have roasted chicken thighs and spinach last night, even though we were kind of busy with other things, is that we thought about it. So planning ahead is critical. Plan ahead so that cooking at home isn't painful. So if you plan ahead, you're going to save time and energy. You're not going to have to shop as often. Have ingredients already prepped in the refrigerator. And so have the appropriate containers. We use glass lock containers, so it's a silicone lid on a glass container, and we just know what we're going to use to store everything in the refrigerator or freezer. An hour of meal prep on the weekend might be enough to set you up for meals for the entire week if you're thinking ahead. Delicious and inexpensive meals. Meals that are going to have leftovers, which you can bring to work for lunch the next day. So now you're improving your meals for 24 hours a day. And then meals that will give you ideas for things to have if you're on the road. So often people on the road, they're away from home, and they start making really bad food choices. Well, if you have your car stocked with great food, starting with just simple fruits and vegetables and raw nuts and cheese and things like that, these don't have to be complicated. They do have to be tasty, and they do have to be things you enjoy. And always go back to, why are you doing this? You're doing this because you care about your own well-being and the well-being of those you love. Thank you.